Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh no, it's a little fat bloke from Birmingham with a really bad haircut.
Don't put yourself down.
But you'd be right. I am a little fat bloke from Birmingham with a really bad haircut. I need you to get over that because I've had to. Because when you go through life looking like this and sounding like this, people are going to make assumptions about you. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't supposed to agree. But it's true. Would you agree? Sadly. And the problem is that our businesses, in our personal lives, even to do with our families, we sadly make assumptions as well. And in my experience, it's been my privilege to have travelled the world speaking to between 10,000 and 50,000 people a year for the last 16 years. I've spent 19 years travelling the world interviewing really successful men and women to find out how it is they think and how it is they behave that makes them more effective and therefore successful than the rest of us. And for years, I used none of it. In fact, I often joke that you're looking at someone who strived for and achieved nothing at all until the age of 30. I was so average, I offended myself. The reason I was so average is because up until the age of 30, I believed other people who used to tell me what I was capable of. And I don't know, maybe you've got better friends, family and work colleagues than I used to have. But, you know, we've all got people who go, oh, are you sure? They're very well intentioned, but they're wrong, would you agree? But if there's enough of them, don't we get that little voice? Or is it just me that has little voice? We all know we've got two voices, yeah? Good cop, bad cop. If anyone's got more than two voices, go and see a doctor, mate. You're in trouble, seriously. But this little quote here by Bill Phillips, an amazing truism. Yeah, the only difference between who we want to be and who we are the things that we do. And in my experience, travelling the world, speaking to top achievers, and indeed presenting to so many people, what I discover is that here in Britain, we are world champions at doing nothing at all. We talk the talk, don't we? We say, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But in the last 120 years, we've gone from being Great Britain to average little islands just off Europe. We talk the talk, but most of us are actually becoming scared of our own shadows, scared of actually doing anywhere near of what we're capable of for fear of failing or fear of what others will think of us. And we are better than that, my humble opinion. You see, we are blessed to live in an area that changed the world forever. We gave birth to the Industrial Revolution, for goodness sake. Are you aware, for example, I did my research just recently to make sure these stats were still true. Have a guess where in Europe nearly 70% of every single patent, trademark and new invention registered comes from? The Midlands. We are awesome. But what we're great at is hiding that light under a bushel, would you agree? I think it's time for a change. I don't want to turn us all into extrovert show-offs. I want us just to start saying, actually, we're good. And we're a damn sight better than most people bother to find out about. You see, the only difference between assumptions and truth is a perception. And I think it's time we change people's perceptions by showing them how good we are, and to begin with, we have to find out how good we are ourselves. My talks are called the Massive Goal Principle, and there's quite a challenging statement there because smart goals don't work. I've done my research because I'm a Brummie, born skeptic, mate. You see, have a guess. There are two words always used in goal setting. One begins with R, the other begins with A. They say your goals should be what? Realistic and achievable. You've heard the myth. In 228 research interviews to date, asking the great men and women of the world, world champions of sport, Olympic gold medalists, industrialists, captains of industry, millionaires, billionaires, scientists, inventors, academics, entertainers, authors, rock stars, even one politician, just one. And what I found out from these men and women, have a guess when I asked them the specific question, how do you set goals? How many of them do you think answered by saying, oh, I set realistic and achievable goals? How many? Zero. So why is it being taught on the MBA? Why is it being taught on virtually every single business management training course you have ever been on and ever will go on? Damn it, why are we teaching it our kids in schools? And that's the awkward silence I normally get at this point. Because it's embarrassing for us all. Myself, when I woke up and realised it. So I did my research. I thought, smart goals. I wonder who came up with that. I found out. George T. Duran, a project manager from the United States, sadly no longer with us. I'd have loved to have had a chat with him. Because there's a quote from him on the Wikipedia profile for him that says, "Never intended to be used in goal setting." Awkward moments. So, forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, if I get on my hobby horse, because Mike is such a long-standing dear friend. He said, just be yourself, so you're right, having it. Let's talk about assumptions. Just to humour me, can I ask, has anyone seen me speak before? Only two people. Yeah. In that case, let's talk about assumptions, because my assumption is that you've already made assumptions about me, haven't you? Based upon the way I look, based upon the way I sound and my style of speaking. You could be thinking one of many different things, and you're entitled to it. That's your opinion. But I wonder how good we are. I wonder how many of our assumptions about ourselves or other people are actually true. So I thought we'd have a little game. And when I say we, of course me. You. I'm going to tell you only 3 things about me. One of these things will be a lie. 2 of them are my boy's life, and I don't say that lightly, will be true. I'm not going to trick you by having done all of them or none of them. 2 of them will be true. 1 of them will be a lie. So, I'll explain what they are, and then you can make an assumption. Here we go. Is the lie number 1? I have on 5 occasions deliberately got into a huge aquarium with really dangerous sharks without a cage to protect me. Is the lie number 2? I have walked 500 kilometres along the Great Wall of China. Or is the lie number 3? I have on 5 occasions done a skydive from over 10,000 feet, on 1 occasion raising money for charity dressed as a Teletubby. 1 of them is a lie, 2 of them are true. So, quickest way to do this is show of hands, and if you've seen this before you can't take part. So, hands up who assumes number 1 is the lie. You don't swim with sharks without a cage. That is the lie. Few people. Hands up who think number 2 is the lie. You have not walked 500 kilometres. Okay. And hands up who think number 3 is the lie. You don't skydive. Okay, so now, and there are some people who have not put their hand up. First challenge. And by the way, every single challenge, if I appear arrogant, forgive me, it's just my nature, I'm quite bullish because I'm really passionate about this stuff. Here's my first challenge to anyone who didn't put their hands up, with respect, and we all know what that means. How is it possibly working in your life not taking part? So, what I saw there was a couple of people said sharks, most of you said China Wall, and a handful of people thought skydiving. Those are your assumptions. Now, according to Professor Adrian Furnham, a man so clever that if you stand next to him, you get clever through osmosis. He says, right now, your audience is making stuff up to try and justify in their head the thing that they've just made up. Because what we do is, I can't do that, because, and we'll make something up to try and justify our excuse. And we do that with all of our assumptions about other people, our suppliers, our customers, our family, our work colleagues, everybody. Instead of finding out the truth, because in the words of some preacher somewhere, I'm sure, the truth will set us free. It is only worth bothering with what is true. Everything else is fluff. It's like, I'm afraid to pick the phone up and make a cold call to a customer. Are you? Really? What if your loved one's life depended upon it? You're not going to ring 999 and speak to a stranger? Really? It's time we got over ourselves. It's time we started working with what is true and what's really, really important to us and our families and our businesses. You see, the truth is frequently different to our assumptions. You see, that's me swimming with sharks. Sharks are really misunderstood creatures, a bit like small business owners. That's me on the Great Wall of China, and skydive is the lie. And yet only a handful of you got it right. So, I think I saw 4 hands go up, and I'm guessing that there's about 40 of you in the room. So what if, I know it's hypothetical, I know it's a trite statement, but what if for every 40 negative things you assume to be true about yourself or your business, only 4 of them are true? And how much more effective and successful there could we be if we actually started to bother to find out what is true about what we're capable of? And I'm not just going to speak at you. I'm actually going to give you some ways of thinking and behaving from my research in the short time we've got, that if you do them, I don't suggest, I don't promise, I guarantee if you use them, you will buy me a beer as a thank you 1 year from now. So the first one, 5 minutes a day. It's an emotional intelligence model called the third of 1% rule. Not sure if anyone's ever heard of it before, but some mathematicians somewhere worked out that, as a rule of thumb, about 5 minutes a day is effectively to a third of 1% in time-ish. And if we were to only spend 5 minutes a day when we make time for Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, fluff, wool, nonsense, coffee, free cell, solitaire, Minecraft, Jules, whatever the games are. We could spare 5 minutes to focusing on one thing that scares us or we know that we're making excuses about. And if we did just 5 minutes a day, 1 year from now, you will be so much more effective or successful. You will buy me a beer as a thank you. Did I mention that? I like beer. Belgian beer in particular. Available online, delivered to the door. So it's called the third of 1% rule. What I'm asking for you for is to set your phone to audibly ring or vibrate and put it in a pocket next to your person. And when you feel that phone vibrate every hour, on the hour, on a silent ring, just do 2 things. Number 1, when you feel the phone vibrate in your pocket, number 1, do this. Because why wouldn't you? The second thing is, when you feel it vibrate, whatever you're doing for the next 5 minutes, do it to the very best of your ability instead of playing at it. Whatever it is. Just do it to the very best of your ability. The next thing, who recognises this guy? Chris Akabusi. I'm looking at the age demographic in the room. I'm getting most of us will probably remember him as the gold medal 400 metres athlete. Some of us will be remembering him as the Record Breakers TV presenter. And some of us will remember him as a commentator on the Olympics. And there'll be 3 of you who are going, who? Because let's work with what's real, huh? So Chris Akabusi, an incredibly successful guy. Incredibly giving. Most people just think of him as this loud, brash, over-the-top guy. No, this guy, for example, he doesn't build a medical centre in Africa with his money. He builds universities and hospitals. He is awesome by any measurement, this man. And so when I interviewed him, I asked him, one of the questions is, what's the one thing you do differently to everyone else around you that makes you so much more successful and effective? Your arms are going to seriously ache, by the way. I'll do the camera like that. All right, it's going to go, I said, what is the one thing you do? He says, Dave, I don't look up to people, I look into them. From Birmingham, so I said, what does that mean? I says, keep it simple, Lego language, yeah? I said, what does that actually mean? He says, Dave, if somebody is brilliant at the thing you want to be good at, and I would love you all, please, to think of one skill or attribute that you know, if I was better at it, it would take me and my business from there to there. Whatever it is, think of it right now. And he said, track a man or a woman down who are the very best. Because if we go to average people, with respect, what kind of information are they going to give us? Average at best, would you agree? If you go to people at the very, very top and you manage to get some time from them, they are going to give you gold dust. And in my experience, 228 top achievers later, he was right. He was so right. And I could keep you here all day with business examples, but my passion, 40%, 50% some years of my time is spent working with young people in schools and colleges. And there's a young lady just down the road from here in Hagley, Worcestershire, who a couple of years ago, after an event at Hagley School Sixth Form, came up to me. And you know how young ladies, when they're nervous, they tend to pull their cardigans down over their wrists like this. And she came up to me, and she had the longest, straightest, shiniest hair you've ever seen in your life. She was like a walking advert for Vidal Sassoon. She had a pair of those enormous glasses, you know, the ones that make your eyes look like goldfish bowls. And, that's £5 to charity. And, did I mention that rule? I did now. She had a thing, she came up to me and says, Dave, I don't know if you can help me. I said, I've no idea. She said, I don't know what to do. I said, why? What is it you want to be? She said, I want to go into international politics. Now, I was already making assumptions. How dare I, would you agree, when I speak about how you shouldn't? But we're human. Once I realised what I was doing, I got out my own way and said, I'm so sorry, I was making assumptions. how about you do what Chris Akabusi did, set yourself a massive goal and go and get a mentor at the very highest level, look into someone who's a politician. She went, what, me speak to a politician? I went, yes. She went, okay, and she walked off. Now I have that effect on women. And I heard nothing for about 2.5 weeks. Then I had a phone call from the school. The phone call went something like this. And Mike, you know when you're in trouble by the tonality with which people use your name. Yeah? If your wife goes, Mike, if you go, Michael, you know what I'm saying. The phone call went like this. Hello, David Hyner speaking. Mr. Hyner. Yes, David speaking. Mr. Hyner. Mr. Moen here from Hagley. Oh, hello, Mr. Moen. How are you, Mr. Hyner? Are you in the habit of encouraging young women to harass the President of the United States of America? Maybe. Is there a problem? You went, no, I'm winding you up, Dave. I thought you'd want to hear this. Do you remember that young lady you spoke to? I said, what, politician lady? I said, yeah. He says, we've been on the phone to Bob. Bob says, whoa, stop, rewind. Bob? Who's Bob? He says, Bob, head of security at the White House. At that point, I was expecting the CIA to abseil in through the sky. Get on the floor! No! Didn't happen. I said, what does Bob say? He says, Bob tells me it is virtually unheard of, get this, for a serving president to handwrite a 2-page letter of reply to an international student answering their questions on politics. Me, OMG, hashtag amazeballs, how good is that? He said, Dave, that's not all. Bob tells me it is unheard of in American history for a serving president or otherwise to agree to mentor said student. My friends, is that going to look good on her resume? And I'm not going to, but I could keep you here for a week with only true stories about what happens when people do that. And if, with respect, if a 17-year-old young lady can get in front of the President of the United States, what's stopping you phoning up someone who's at number one in your industry, number one saleswoman, number one draftsman, whatever it is the skill set you need, really? What's your excuse? Because I tried really hard to build my excuses and they were all fluff. Come on. Oh, sorry, I know that's a bit confrontational for a motivational speaker, but I'm from Birmingham. Come on. You know, seriously, I'd love us all 1 year from now to meet again in this very room and you just go, OMG, Dave, you're not going to imagine what happened to me when I did a 31% rule, started looking into people. Wow. Come on.